Hey everyone, this is Athletes and Antiquities, and in today's video we're going to be talking about collection identity and if you really need to have one. So this might come across as a hypocritical video because in previous videos I might have talked a lot about collection identity in a different light than I am now. You know, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that it's one of my goals to get every single EX card in a PSA 8. When I say EX, I mean EX era. So I'm talking holos and EXs. Eventually, I'm gonna move that over to gold stars, but right now gold stars are a bit out of my price range. So for now, it's just the EXs and the holos. That's been a goal of mine for a while. But as I've thought about it recently, I realized my collection has a lot less identity than I previously thought. You know, I have this goal, but I don't really actively seek it out. If I see a good deal for a PSA 8 EX era holo, I'll pick it up. But for the most part, I think I buy more outside of my collection goal than in my collection goal. So I've been thinking about it because a lot of YouTubers I've seen, and then this is no shade on them, but a lot of them say, you know, you need to have a collection identity. You know, to really efficiently collect, you have to have an identity. You have to have a very specific goal of what you want. And in some ways that is true. If you have a specific goal, you can, and you stick to it, you can achieve that goal much faster. But in today's video, I want to argue why collection identity is less important than people might think it is, and actually having too strict of an identity can actually take some fun out of the hobby. You know, and what I mean by that is, I'll kind of go into that right now actually, is I think that if you don't have a collection identity, if you are kind of fly by the seat of your pants, the hobby might be more like exciting for you. You know, there's more opportunities. You're not bound by a specific set, a specific era, a specific condition. If you don't really stick to a collection identity, there's nothing telling you, oh, you know, I can't buy that, you know. So it does result to impulse purchases, which impulse purchases aren't great, but it also resorts to picking up things that you might not even think you like, but once you get them, you might love them. So in this video, I'm going to show you, you know, how my collection really has no identity and why I really like that. So, you know, I have my EX era PSA 8s, but, you know, I collect a whole lot more than that. You know, I don't show a lot of this on camera as much as I should, but, you know, I also, you know, first edition base. That's not related to EX era at all, but, you know, when I see a first edition base, it's a PSA 6. You know, this thing is, it's a good PSA 6, but it's a PSA 6. And now I'm messing up my whole stage here. But, like, I saw it was for a good deal. I said, you know, I'll pick it up. You know, I want some first edition base. And then, you know, I saw, you know, V-Star Universe came out, and I was like, oh, you know, V-Star Universe is sick. You know, like those full arts, those like pseudo alternate arts, those things are crazy. I love those. I gotta have some. So I bought them raw, graded them, all got 10s. And that's it. I strayed from my PSA EX era, but I found cards that I loved outside of that. And if I was just like tunnel vision on EX era, I might have missed them. And let's go outside of that. You know, I get into sports too. Sports have nothing to do with those, but, you know, I saw this Walter Payton autograph. Walter Payton passed away in 1999. So to have a card of his that, you know, he signed and has since passed over 20 years ago, I was like, he's one of the greatest players of all time. That this auto is so cheap, I have to get it. So it was kind of an impulse purchase because I saw it and I snapped it up, but it was I think a very intelligent purchase, something that I'll probably not get very many chances for again. And now that I have it, I love it. It's one of my favorite cards in my collection. But, you know, I don't even stray to football. Well, let's go to 1910. You know, I collect cards from over 100 years ago, from a boxing, you know, a boxer that you might have never even heard of. You know, he was one of the greatest boxers of his era, up there with, you know, Jack Johnson and Jack Dempsey. But from 1910, like this was an impulse purchase. I saw it on eBay. I just looked up, vintage boxing, just out of the blue. Saw this card, it was like $50. I was like, $50 for a very key athlete from over 100 years ago? Easily. And then, let's go beyond that. Let's go outside sports, This actually, Jake from Pokenomics tipped me off to. He mentioned this in one of his videos. He was like, yeah, I love these old war cards. And I was like, war cards? Like, what is that? So I Googled it, 1938 Horrors of War. It's literally cards depicting actual battles from actual conflicts that were going on in that time. Something that would never happen today. They would not put these, this would not be advertised towards kids or anything, but it was a product at the time, they weren't very expensive, $30, $40. I was like, sure. I had no identity in my collection, but it let me collect all of these really exciting, eclectic, random things. And I actually like my collection now more because it doesn't have an identity. So when a lot of these YouTubers, again, no shade on them, when they say you need to have an identity, you need to have an identity. Having an identity can make you miss things or overlook things. And sure, if you don't have an identity and you're not careful, you can overspend. A lot of impulse purchases rack up really quick. But if you're just like, I just saw that in some video, Jake Pokenomics or SM Pratt, someone's flipped through a card, I love that, I'm gonna pick it up, There's a beauty to that. There's an organic collectability. People always say, collectors aren't taught, they're born. People are born as a collector. And if you have that gene in you, if you have that collector gene, I think it's better not to have an identity. If you want to have a master goal, sure, but don't restrict yourself to it. Widen your horizons, because there's a lot of awesome stuff that you can be missing that might actually make you change your goal. If I saw, if I saw this first edition base holo and I was like, you know what, I love this. I didn't think I'd like it as much as I do. I'm gonna go after all first edition base. Like that could be something. Or, oh, these vintage boxing cards, they look amazing. I wanna go after more of those. You can alter your collection goals based on these impulse purchases, and that's totally fine. Some other stuff that I definitely don't talk about, let's go outside of cards. I'm gonna, Legos. I grew up collecting Legos, so I buy like Lego minifigures here and there that I think have some significance, have some rarity, have some difficulty to obtain. Like the original Spider-Man here only came out in a few sets in like 2004 or something. This Kashyyyk Trooper was only in that clone turbo tank in like 2005. Very unique figures, hard to, they're mass produced, but they're still hard to obtain. Greedo, one of the first figures with leg arm printing, and this crossbowman from a chess set. This guy was exclusive to a chess set in like 2008, and this blue archer's hat, this blue bow, they were unique to that figure. So it was a lot of unique molds. I was like, stuff like that. I was like, sure, I'll pick that up. It's way outside my collection goals, but I saw it and I was like, you know what? That's pretty cool. I'll pick up one of those. Outside of, toys, and you can broaden your horizons. Just find out stuff you don't even know is out there that people even collect. I'm gonna move my camera around here, so if you get motion sickness, I apologize. But I collect old books of significant books from old. This is an old Flying Dutchman book. I showed it once in a video, I think, from 1930, from an old library, so it says discarded, but it's an old where the Flying Dutchman from Pirates of the Caribbean, what it was based off of. If you want to pause it and read this little stint, this kind of describes exactly what Pirates of the Caribbean based this character off of, because it is an urban legend. I was like, oh, that's so sick, this was an impulse purchase at an antique store. A lack of a collection goal really helped me obtain these items. I collect newspapers and magazines too. So I have old Sports Illustrated from significant periods in sports. I have some framed ones that I should show in another video of Miracle on Ice and when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, stuff like that. Here's one from World War I. It's an old literary digest. It's not from World War I. It's from 1934, but I think it depicts World War I. Oh no, I guess this is, the 14 and 18 made me think World War I, but I guess this is it's basically foreshadowing World War II based off of what they saw in World War I here. This is kind of someone's kind of conquering the globe here. I believe that's supposed to be Germany. That could be way off, but old stuff like this, just interesting things. You know, it's okay to impulse buy. As long as you impulse buy responsibly, you can impulse buy and get some awesome items. You know, here's I also like old advertisements and old, like, so this is an old, like, I believe it's like a fashion magazine. I just thought the cover was like so like 1950s. I thought it was really cool. Stuff like that. Like, you don't have to only collect Pokemon. You don't have to only collect the specific era of Pokemon. You don't only have to collect cards. You don't have to only collect toys or entertainment. You can, I encourage you to broaden your horizons. If you have a collection goal, that's awesome. If you're like, I know one of the guys that I'm friends with in this hobby, who's who I've talked to a bit. His goal is to collect every Delta species card. You know, if he's in the comments, you can talk about it. His goal is to collect every Delta species card. That's an awesome goal, but I wouldn't restrict yourself to that. If your goal is all the alternate arts from Sword and Shield, awesome. Those are beautiful cards. But again, if you see a card outside of that, don't tell yourself no, because, you know, I have a goal. I can't stray from that. Because in my opinion, when you do that, you're shutting yourself off from parts of the hobby unnecessarily. I still have my goal of getting every EX era card. That's still a goal of mine, and I'm very serious about that. But I knowingly slow down my progress there to enjoy other things. Because I think if all I looked at every day was EX era holos and EX era, you know, EXs, I still love those cards, but I think they'd get a little old. You know, if I was looking at them all day, every day, because that was the only thing I wanted in this hobby, and I needed to complete that goal, I think I would burn out. Maybe that's just me. Maybe it's you too. Let me know. But I think because I willingly slow down and say, you know what, instead of, let's say I buy one card a week. Instead of my one card a week every week being an EX era card, maybe let's say, hey, you know, once a month I'll buy an EX era card, and then the other 3 I'll just buy things I like. I'll slowly work towards my goal, very slowly, but I'm also enjoying other things. And I think that's very important, because burnout, I've experienced burnout. You know, I've been in this hobby since like 2007. I've experienced burnout before. It's not fun, you know. And it usually comes from me going way too hard into something and me losing interest because it's all I focus on. So I've been rambling a lot in this video. I apologize. I do that in like every video. But let me know. Wow, my light just turned off. I think it's time for me to stop the video. I hope that's not a permanent thing. But it just broke. But yeah, let me know what you think about this with my terrible lighting. Do you have specific collection goals, and do you stray from them? Do you feel guilty when you do? And what other things are you interested in? Like, how have you deviated from your goals, and has it spurred a new goal? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. But yeah, thanks. Bye.